hello again. Right, this time we're going to be talking about knitting needles. Now, basically, the difference between knitting and crochet is knitting has 2 needles, crochet has 1 hook. They are very different crafts. You use wool, but they're different. So the knitting needles here, as I was explaining about the ball band here, your wool, see, this is the symbol for your knitting needles that you use with this weight of wool, and you use a 4mm. You see it there? These are the correct needles to knit with this kind of wool. Basically, the smaller the needle, the finer the yarn that you use. So if you were knitting something in a cotton lace, you'd use a very, very thin needle. And if you were knitting a chunky sweater, something like that, or a chunky blanket, then you'd use a big fat knitting needle. That's the difference, and that's the way that it works. You can use 4mm needles for a lot. There's a lot of double knitting patterns use 4mm needles. Now, this is a standard knitting needle, so you can see it's roughly that length. When I'm knitting, I like to use a shorter needle, just because, you know, that's, I'll just put the other one down for a minute. You can just see that's that length. So that's that much shorter. I just find it easier to manipulate the wool. So that's that, really. Just the smaller the needle, the thinner the wool. The bigger the needle, the fatter the wool. That's about it. So you've got your different weights of wool. You've got lace yarn, you've got 4-ply, 3-ply, double knitting, Aran weight, chunky, super chunky, and then there's new yarns coming onto the market called t-shirt yarns, and they're quite exciting because you can do a lot of funky things with them. I've been making some little baskets in crochet with them, but that's another thing I can show you later if we get round to it. Okay, so that's knitting needles and what you use them for and how you use them. When you get a pattern, for say, for the sake of argument, a sweater, a jumper, it tells you on there, and usually when you're starting the hem of the garment, you'll use a smaller needle because that needs a bit more give in the rib of that jumper, and then you'll move onto a bigger needle like the 4mm for the double knitting yarn. You'd normally start off on a 3.75mm knitting needle for that, and then, but you know, you buy a pattern, which are pretty critical if you want to make something that is a particular style or size or whatever, and that the pattern is, it's like a recipe book. It's got all the instructions there. Don't usually have so many pictures, but we do like YouTube and good old Google for anything we're struggling with. And of course on Facebook and Instagram, there's lots of different groups on there that might be making the same thing as you, so you can join along, you can ask questions in there. Usually everybody's really friendly, wants to have a look, wants to have a nosy at what you're making, what colour are you using? Oh, are you using that yarn? That kind of thing. So it can be quite a community activity, and it's just really good fun. However, knitting, I can knit, but I do prefer my crochet. So I'll move on now, say bye-bye and thank you for listening, and next I'm going to show you some crochet hooks. It's so exciting. Right, see you later, bye.